Jacky Kim, we're live.
Hello, Ching. Happy Boxing Day.
Hey,
Hey,
how
everyone.
are you? Happy one day after Christmas. Did you survive Christmas?
I did. The weather could have been better. It was a bummer. It was like super, dark and gloomy and rainy, but I watched a lot. I consumed a lot of TV. How was yours?
Let's see. What did I do? I watched a little bit TV and some. Actually watched a movie and a Christmas movie, kind of silly movie. What else? My son's friend came. So they
Nice.
both cooked the dinner. So they cooked a really yummy dinner. Like they made a fancy mushroom soup, and then
Wow.
they made like a handmade sauce and lasagna.
Wow.
So yeah, my son loves cooking. So oh, we have Yunje here. Ed
Hi,
is here.
Yunjay. I mean,
Hey
I have
Yunje.
to say, you've done some really good work with parenting. I only learned how to cook at like age 25, so I don't starve to death. That's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know how to cook myself until like 25 too. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, when I had to live in the United States by myself. So yeah,
Yeah.
but my son loves cooking. Yeah, it's like amazing, and he also is a good barista. He cooks. He makes coffee professionally.
Ooh, beautiful. Oh my gosh. I
So
actually just got gifted like
yeah,
this really cute like coffee set from Nguyen Coffee Supply so that you
yeah.
could make Vietnamese coffee at home.
Oh,
Yeah, that's been
Vietnamese
really
coffee.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I just buy the condensed milk and I get the coffee
Yeah,
grinds from them.
yeah.
Um they use robusta coffee beans and most I think coffee producers use Arabica beans, but it's like another type of like really intense strong beans. So I'm like
Yeah.
and then I'm just like wired for the day after two sips. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
that's wonderful.
hard.
So it's so great to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah, today is one day after Christmas, and thank you for talking with me. And I know you, Jacky Kim, when we were canvassing for Andrew Yan's 2020. No, wait, 2020, right? No,
2021.
2021
The mayoral race.
mayoral campaign.
Mhm.
Right, right. So let me read a short biography of yours. And in case people do not know who Jacky Kim is. And by the way, this biography also is in the description below.
Mhm.
Jacky Kim has been living bi-coastally in the deep south and in the Tordang. How do you say that?
Tundra.
Tuntr tundra. So
Tundra.
tundra, fancy word, tundra of Western Alaska in
Mhm.
her short life, and most recently transitioned into New York City during COVID-19. Her foray into activism began when she traveled up to Standing Rock Reservation to stand for water sovereignty along the thousands of others across the globe against Dakota's Access Pipeline. She also fought for reproductive justice in South Louisiana. So you have done so many things in your such a short. I thought you were 23 years old.
Hi everyone, I'm 34.
Oh
Just wanted to put that
my god!
on record. I
Oh
said
my
short
god!
life, but it's more like midlife.
Yes, yes, yes. So tell us, walk us back a little bit. Tell us. I assume your ancestors from Korea. Are you Korean?
Correct. I'm actually South. Yeah, I was born in South Korea. I've been undocumented for a big part of my life up until my mid 20s, and I saw a lot of the cracks that is currently and at that time that exists in our current immigration policies. And I've gone through a lot of the same troubles that most immigrants go through when they try to make America their home. And that kept me really up to date with politics and the injustice of a lot of things that take place in our system. And I never forgot because it wasn't that long ago. I'm 35, and I was undocumented up until I was 27. So it made a huge impact on me, and it made a huge impact on how I navigated through my life, through college. And it made me want to kind of look deeply into the lives of others. I've like it sounds like I've moved all over the place, but the big moves in my life were from Korea to the US and California, Southern California, when I first settled down. And then I moved to New Orleans, Louisiana, and lived there for 8 years. And then after being inspired by the Standing Rock Reservation movement that was fighting for water rights against Dakota Access Pipeline, I moved to rural Alaska to practice social work so that I could really get in touch with the people always that always seem to be at the forefront of this fight for climate change, for water rights, which is usually and always have been the Native Americans against the government. And I was a social worker in rural Alaska. It's called, the area that I was in was called the Kuskokwim, Yukon Kuskokwim region. It's in Southwest Alaska. And I was there for 2 years when COVID hit. My plans at that time was to move more north past the Arctic Circle to take a job in an area called Kotzebue. From Kotzebue, Alaska, you could really see Russia. And they
Wow.
actually even share the same radio signals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the AM radio station in Kotzebue could be picked up by Russians in the Siberian region. So my plans were to relocate there, and then COVID happened, and it kind of rearranged my life in this crazy way. And I ended up taking a job in New York City, and I moved here in May 2020. And the part where I got to meet you and the rest of Yang Gang is that I was really I just couldn't sit with myself when all of this violence was taking up in New York City and all across the United States against Asian Americans. I was clicking and sharing and upset online, but that wasn't doing anything for me. And I had been keeping up with Andrew Yang's presidential campaign in 2020, when I was in Alaska, kind of reading articles on it, but was never fully involved until I was here. And when he announced that he was running for mayor, I just needed to get out of the house and I needed to meet my fellow Asians, and I really needed to do something physically and not just on my couch in front of the computer for the rights of Asian Americans. So that's when I really put myself out there and got to meet all you beautiful people. And
Yeah, I
gang.
remember we met in a event in
Mhm,
Queens, right?
mhm, mhm.
And yeah, afterwards we were canvassing, and then afterwards we hang out in a restaurant and talking
That
and
was
canvassing
fun. Yep.
more. Yeah,
Mhm,
that's great. And then
mhm.
yeah, so what uh what is the main thing or two things attract you about Andrew Yang and Yangan?
So, okay, so I'll say one thing about Andrew, and the other thing about Yang Gang is that Andrew really speaks his mind for the way it is, and I really appreciate that he's not moved by any other entities. Um, it's not looking good for us Democrats right now. I mean, like the Build Back Bureau plan just got, like shelved. They say they're gonna work on it next year, but it just got dismantled by this one person that's supposed to be a Democrat. Um, and at the same time, there's like these Republicans that we like to kind of categorized as this one entity, but there's so many more people even within the Republican Party that feel disenfranchised. But then the loudest ones are the ones that are creating the insurrections, that are going out and like saying these awful things, being on camera with guns, and just really frightening the rest of America. And Andrew really, like, he really hit the nail when he said that both parties are really responsible for blaming each other for this crisis that is so imminent, and it doesn't matter whose fault it is. Like, we just need to get through it. And I really appreciated his message in 2020, and I knew he was kind of like this, like, dark horse, like, wild card candidate that, like, probably didn't have a chance at becoming president. But because of the way, let me segue into Yang Gang, how powerful the Yang Gang is, that was like really grassroots movement right there, that they were able to raise so much money to put him on the debate stage with he raised more money than our current vice president, So at that time in Alaska, I was phone banking for Bernie Sanders. Like, I'm a concurrent, like, Yang Gang, but also like a Bernie bro, right?
Yeah.
And I saw how Bernie got shafted by the Democratic Party in my cold apartment in Alaska. And I saw in June that Andrew was the only one who stepped up with Bernie Sanders and sued the Board of Electors in New York City to allow all these New York City voters' votes to count, because they were going to wipe away all those votes, so that Bernie didn't have a chance at gaining delegates in the Democratic National Convention. And Andrew stepped up and was like, hey, that's not constitutional. And they won, thanks to our to another, like, fellow Yang Gang, Jeffrey Curzon. Whoop, whoop. But yeah, so to answer your other question, I just love how powerful Yang Gang is when they're united. I've met so many eclectic, wonderful, genius people in the Yang Gang that are so talented and just incredible people in their own lives and in their own industries, as yourself, like award-winning documentarian, filmmaker Ching Juhl, and also, just like amazing violinist, and same with Yunjae, like beautiful, like conductor and arranger. And like our group is not just the tech bros or the tech billionaires that they really painted like, which is hilarious, because he wasn't even in tech. He was just an advocate for technology. He was never a tech billionaire, so but yeah, I just like love how powerful and talented Yang Gang is. And yeah, we all mobilized behind him during the mayoral campaign, and that was a real, like, I worked my ass off for the campaign, but it really saved me more than I saved him. So I'm really thankful to all my fellow Yang Gang and fellow canvassers and supporters of New York, supporters of Andrew for the New York campaign.
That's so well said. Now Andrew Yang started his own party officially on October 5th of 2021 after he released his third book, The Forward. So how do you feel about that now that you have an organization? It's called New Leaf Dem's Club. So so what is your reflection on that? Him now is exiting the Democratic Party.
Andrew is his own voter. He can do whatever he chooses. And he clearly told all of his followers that I am going to change my registration to become an independent. But if you want to make change in whatever community that you're in, I am okay if you stay a Democrat, because we're trying to gain as many supporters as we can, right? And right now, unfortunately, we work in this duopoly, but what Andrew is really trying to do is find government officials, find politicians that could see past this polarized way of life that we were kind of just force fed by our current government. And he's saying, do what you can to follow the I guess like the missions and values of the Forward Party, but it doesn't mean that I'm asking you to change parties to become an independent or a Forward member right now. Like the Forward Party isn't even an actual political party right now. So I think he's bold. I think he's doing something that most people have tried and failed, but this is a new time right now. I think COVID-19 especially showed a lot of the cracks that we have placed in our current systems. And I'm really, oh, my dog's snoring, sorry. She's so
I
loud.
can't hear. Okay.
Okay, good. But you know, like I don't know what what's that famous saying where it's like, it's insanity to keep doing something that doesn't work. I kind of just paraphrase that, and I'm with him. You know, I don't want to keep doing the same thing and hoping for something different. I'm very solution oriented. I think a lot of my fellow Yang Gang, like, they're solution oriented. Andrew is. A beautiful thing came out of Andrew's loss in the mayoral campaign, which is that a big group of us that decided we're not done caring about our city decided to form an all-borough Democratic club. We're called the New Leaf Dems. And we said, hey, we're gonna keep fighting to make sure that certain like initiatives and policies that Andrew was vouching for if he was mayor, we're still gonna make that happen. Like our dreams didn't die because Andrew's mayoral campaign did. And you know, like, just certain things that come to mind is that UBI was such an insane thought to have just in 2020, right? And now there's a huge collective of mayors under Mayors for Guaranteed Income that is signed up to start, either already have started these what is it, pilot programs, or they have plans to implement it. And we're talking big cities like LA, Chicago. We have cities in upstate New York, even Newark, that's like right around the corner. We won't even go to their airport and they're starting their UBI program.
Yeah.
So like that's become a household term, which is amazing. And we just found out earlier this month that, you know, Andrew thought it wasn't fair for non-citizen New Yorkers to not have a say in government, because that's taxation without representation, right? And now, sure enough, I think it passed in December 7th. It passed within the city council vote. Now non-citizens of New York City will get to vote for the first time in municipal elections. And I think that's really powerful. And that's the kind of stuff that we're, you know, like, working hard on in the New Leaf Dems. And I would really appreciate if anybody that's a New Yorker, but even if you're not in New York City, if you're upstate, if you are in Albany, because we're going to want to start doing, you know, things in the assembly soon. If you're in the tri-state area, anybody, if you guys are really interested in what we're doing and want to get involved, please look us up. New Leaf Democrats.
Yeah, I'm showing. I'm going to show you the New Leaf Dems website. Now, tell us more about how about, what is the main what do you call, mission? Can you see it?
Yep, I see it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's your website.
So cute. Yeah, so we are mainly trying to bring economic justice and voter reforms into New York City. Um, we saw, unfortunately, how quickly the initiative to make same-day registration failed in New York City, which was shocking to so many of us because New York City is known as like the beacon of progressiveness and progressivism and democracy, but that failed because some of the folks that are in power, that's a Democrat, sometimes I believe take things for granted that certain things will pass like very easily, like no need to canvass and no need to inform other Democratic voters. And I think that's wrong because the reason that initiative failed, the same day voter registration failed, because there was so much money and hardcore canvassing that came from the Republican Party to fight against it in a place that is hugely democratic in New York City. And that's something that we dropped the ball on because we took that for granted. It's like, oh, New York City is pretty much Democrat, so we don't have to really put that on the commercial. We don't have to talk about it in forums. We don't have to, canvass our voters. Like you can't always think that these Democratic votes are going to stay with you permanently, because it's not. And another example that I can bring up is that there were a lot of harms that were made against the Asian communities this past year. They decided to can the gifted learning program in the New York City Board of Education, and they really didn't mobilize enough or quickly enough when there were all these crimes happening against and violence happening against Asian Americans, and like they kind of just took all these Asian votes for granted yet again. And I know just personally off the top of my head, like handful of people that were not okay with it. And they voiced their disdain in that way and voted for the other candidate. And I don't blame them. It's like we're othered when it's not convenient, but expect to be on the side of the Democratic Party when it's convenient for them. And I think I think it's sad, but I also like commend my Asian population and Asian voters for kind of like putting their foot down and letting them know that this is not okay. So yeah, so that was kind of off tangent, but just certain things that are happening right now in New York City politics.
So the new Leaf Dem is an organization that you welcome people to join you, right? And do they have to pass certain criteria, or anyone is interested in, I guess Democrats, right? Or are there any criteria for people to join the club?
Absolutely not. We're a Democratic Party. Democratic club. But it does not mean that you need to be a registered Democrat to join our club. Our club is more like action oriented and project oriented rather than being ideology oriented. So we will come together and we will vote on projects that we would like to partake in. Currently, a project that has been voted on by all of our members and that is currently in the works is our project to fill all the county committee seats that are available in both Republican Party and Democratic Party in New York City. This might sound a little bit confusing, but just in a nutshell, what this is being in county committee is almost like the lowest form of government that you could be in terms of running for office. And currently, there's 3 boroughs that are looking to fill county committee seats that is Queens, Bronx, and Brooklyn. It's kind of difficult to say into words just how important this role is, because it's not mentioned much, and I believe it's by design. But I believe there's almost 5,000 county committee seats that are available, but I believe only like 1/3 of them are currently filled, and they and in terms of actual work, they only like meet 2 to 3 times a year at the most, and I think even a lot of that is being done virtually right now because of COVID. But some of the things that county committee seats have been responsible for is having a big say during special elections. So Exhibit 1 is that my current representative, which is Representative Gerald Nadler, I believe he's in his 13th term now. He actually won his seat in a special election, but he became the Democratic Party backed nominee because the county committee members voted for him after his predecessor suddenly passed away. So they just picked him. They just picked Jerry Nadler to be the New York City Democratic Party-backed candidate, and he won in a landslide, and he's never left office then. He won 13 elections since then. So just like a handful of New Yorkers that are like 5,000, it's supposed to be 5,000, but it's never filled completely, right? So like just imagine 1/3 of 5,000 New Yorkers were responsible for putting the Democratic backed nominee when his predecessor passed away, like dropped dead. And then that person is, I believe, like the second most powerful representative in the House of Representatives right now. So that's how much power this seat has, while it is kind of being engineered so that people don't know about it too much to run for the seat. And one of our projects this year in the new Leaf Dems is to just put as many Democratic, registered Democrats in these seats, so that there's just more eyes on the government, so that they can't just kind of like steal elections, quote unquote. I know this is hard for some people to hear, that the Democrats may even try to plot to steal elections sometimes, but they do. They do in these like weird ways, like behind the door. They definitely go by the party rules, but they have their own way of making it so. And the point of our club for doing that is just so that it fills our other mission and value, which is we want voter reform, we want accountability, we want more transparency in our elected officials.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. And we're going to actually like start really actively doing that in the new year, because we need to start getting signatures to petition to run for these seats in, I believe, like late February. So this is a call to anybody that's out there that live in New York City that is a registered Democrat. If you have been sitting on your seat kind of really just so frustrated with how everything's been the last few years, and you want to make a difference I mean, when I say it's like minimal work, I would say it's like less work than what people do, like if they're sitting on like a PTA or a board of director position. We will guide you through the entire process. The funny thing is that they just recently changed a rule in how many signatures that you need to gather to qualify.
Who was they?
It was actually Governor Cuomo changed this rule last year because of COVID. But I don't want to speak. I don't want to misspeak, but I believe due to COVID, because he wanted to make everything safe, that the number of signatures that you actually need in order to qualify to run for county committee seat is now like 1/8 of the actual number that it would require in normal times.
Mm.
So if you look it up, like I can share the website later, but for most electoral district, all you need is like 6 to 8 signatures
Wow.
to qualify to run for the county committee seats, which usually ends up becoming unopposed. So if all of your signatures are valid and it checks out and you get to run for this position, the chances are you're going to run unopposed and then, and then win the seat. So
Wow.
this is a
Wow.
project that we're working on in the new year. And I would love for any New Yorkers that want to get involved to check us out at New Leaf Dems, but also look into becoming a county committee member in your own electoral district. And if you don't believe me, go on the website and just see how much work it takes. It really doesn't take much. So
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, I wanted to say thank you, and thank a lot of people joining us right now. I'm reading backwards. Tech for your needs. Hi, hello, hello. Shark Fin Tech is here. Rangers here, and Ed was here earlier. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. If you have any questions for Jacky, please write in here. And yeah, so this is wonderful. Now, how often the New Leaf Dem meet or meet online? Do you have a fixed meeting time?
yeah, so we've been meeting once a month physically. We're definitely going to we're going to move it remotely starting this year or for now due to Omicron. I believe we had the next I believe it's going to be in the second week of January on a Tuesday, and to make up for not having it in person, we will be also having like a corresponding happy hour event in a very open air with heated lamp situation, so that we could still continue to have just have like friendship and just like talk about things that are New Leaf Dems and not, and just so that we can keep the camaraderie going. So that will be announced very shortly officially. If you haven't already, follow us on New Leaf Dems on Twitter, or you could also check out our website and sign up for the mailing list, and you will be circled in all the events that are coming up this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna put your Twitter on here so people can see it. Now, tell me a little bit about you were born in South Korea, and what brought you to this country? Was it because you come here for education, or your family sort of what do you call immigrant to United States?
Yeah, my grandfather and my grandmother actually on my dad's side was very involved with helping the U.S. Army during the Korean War. And he was actually a translator. My grandfather was a translator for the UN during the Korean War. And after that ended, he continued to do work for the US government. And he had an opportunity in the 70s to move to the US to work in those like army, like commissary kind of situation, like a business type of thing within the army. So my grandparents moved to the US first. And then my grandparents had 4 sons. My dad was the third one. And slowly, like all 4 of us, or all 4 of his sons moved to the US.
Wow. So now I always like to find out someone's background. Your family is your parents, your father, mother, are they encourage you to be so sharp, politically, or being activism? And so how do they feel about your work?
So my dad dad, so my grandpa, the same grandfather, he like, I found out recently that he ran for office in Korea many years ago when I wasn't born. So and he didn't win, and I don't think, and he, it just kind of was like this like difficult thing that the family had to go through. So
Mm,
my dad's not thrilled, but he's
mm,
also like, he also knows he doesn't really have a say in my life. But he lives in Korea, and my mom lives here in California. And
mm,
my mom also wasn't thrilled
mm,
uh, because of how much, you know, like just difficulties and hardships come with being politically active.
mm,
Um, I was also a union member. When I used to be involved in a union, and was elected to have like certain leadership roles. And my mom always like told me like those kind of responsibilities come with a lot of difficulties and grief, and you need to watch out for that, and that doesn't always make you like palatable to future employers and whatnot. And I've always kept those words in the back of my head, but they've never like, they've always been supportive of everything that I've done, even though I've made like really wild moves, like moving to Louisiana and Alaska and now in New York during the height of COVID-19. So I'd like to say like, yes, they were like your typical tiger mom type of parents, but with a lot of trust in me to make my own decisions. So yeah,
yeah, that's
they're
great.
proud of me.
So, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about you when you were in Louisiana. You were in a movement of protecting women's rights. So, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that actually came second, but I guess like my first like delve into being politically active was when in 2016, there was a huge caravan of people from all over the world headed to North Dakota. Uh, there was this pipeline company called the Dakota Access Pipeline that ended up getting a lot of attention, media attention, um, because there's so many pipelines in the world that are doing this. But there was a huge movement where people from all over the world traveled up to North Dakota during the coldest winter, and kind of just like camped out with the people of Standing Rock in the Standing Rock Reservation to fight for water rights. Um, I actually found out years later that that's also when AOC Alexandria Ocasio Cortez decided to get involved politically as well. And shortly after that trip, she was nominated to run for office through this PAC called Justice Democrats. And then by her brother, she was nominated by her brother, and then the rest was history for her. And then she won, and then now she's like one of the most powerful congressperson that we have right now. But yeah, in that same trip, I was very moved by what a band of people could do with the same beliefs, with the same like eagerness to have justice and equity for everyone. And I came back a changed person, and I didn't want that trip to just remain like a cool thing that I did one day. So I started really like just looking for ways to get more involved in my community. Um, and after that trip, I shortly joined like this group of people that were concerned with reproductive rights in Louisiana. Currently, I believe abortions are still illegal there. There was a lot of back and forth within the Supreme Court, but I think at this time it's still considered illegal. We were called REJAC, REJAC, and it stands for Justice Reproductive Justice Action Collective. I'm sorry, this has been a few years ago, but basically, one of our first projects was to meet and deliver Plan B to people for free. Meet in and in a confidential manner to deliver Plan B for people, which is a type of over-the-counter contraceptive that you take within I believe like 72 hours if you've had unprotected sex, to make sure that you will not get pregnant. In Louisiana, there's this I believe it's called like the pharmacist values clause, where whoever the pharmacist that is serving you could refuse to sell a certain contraceptive to you if they believe that this is against their morals and values and religious beliefs, which is crazy to think about in New York City, because that would never be the case. But there are people struggling just to have like morsels of human dignity in that way, in the same country that we live in right now, and this was not that long ago. This was in 2017. So I was involved with that collective for a long time. Actually, even after I left Louisiana, they shipped me boxes of Plan Bs that I could give to small villages in Northwest Alaska, for people that are going through the same thing, but for different reasons. In Alaska, especially in Alaskan villages, there's like maybe like 50 to 300 people in a village, and you're not able to go to a hospital unless you take 2 planes. And they have these little clinics, but most of these clinics are run by somebody that you probably know, whether it's your cousin or your family member or your friends or your classmate. So going into this clinics and asking for something like Plan B just spreads all over the village. So yeah, like women's reproductive rights are threatened in many ways all the time. And this was some political organizing that I was involved in prior to landing in New York.
Wow. That's wonderful. So, you have been, you're still very young, and you've been doing living in different places and doing different things. So, how do you transition from one place to another, one job to another? Can you tell us a little bit about this sort of work and marketing, how to position yourselves, and what do you do, for yourself and advice for other people?
So, just to quickly summarize, I have really done a lot of social justice type of things in my life, mostly in Louisiana. And that involved working for various public defender's office. I've worked in charter schools in Louisiana as well. I've worked for an HIV/AIDS group home. And in all of those cases, I was doing client advocacy work. And sometimes in Louisiana, because the wages are so low, I had to like get a second job, like being a bartender. Fun fact, my first time inside of a strip club was my first day working as a bartender at a strip club.
That's
On Bourbon
awesome.
Street. On
That's
Bourbon
awesome.
Street. And this was to offset the very
Mm,
poor pay in
mm.
working in these roles. So I really commend anybody that is an activist, because that doesn't pay. It doesn't come with money unless you're like a celebrity activist. And in these roles, I realized that, I didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be a social worker, but I just realized that this was something that came naturally to me. And I thought the smart thing for me to do would be to get a degree in it so that I can make more money. So that's when I got my MSW in Louisiana. And once I received it, I decided to take a job in rural Alaska as a traveling social worker in rural Alaska, so that I can better serve the native population and to really learn about the way they preserve our earth. And I had no plans of moving to New York, but when COVID-19 hit, I was like, okay, so should I stay thousands and thousands of miles away from my loved ones and just watch on TV how everyone's dying? Or should I just like get in there? Because it's driving me nuts that I can't be there with my people. So I ended up going with the latter. I applied for a job doing public health work, doing COVID-19 stuff with the city of New York. They hired me because I had a year's worth of fellowship through University of Alaska that I did working with pediatric neurodevelopmental disorders. And that was the only experience I had on my resume with public health, but that was good enough for them because they also saw on my resume that I am a social worker and I am able to speak to people in an empathetic way. And that's what was really important during COVID-19, having a lot of empathy for people that are scared and confused and just that have no information about what this virus is. And they saw me as a candidate good enough to hire in Alaska so that I can reach out to New Yorkers in distress and try and explain to them what COVID-19 is and how they can keep safe from it. And that's what brought me to New York. And I've recently left that job because I decided being a social worker and dealing with COVID-19 at this time for my own mental health is just really detrimental to me. And I wanted to kind of switch the energy and get into something that brings people joy. So I am now in talent acquisition, basically hiring people and letting them know you have a job, and that brings people joy. And I think I was able to kind of like navigate such a wild career options in my life because in every job that I apply for, I definitely make sure to highlight my strengths. Um, and this actually may work for a lot of people right now in this day and age because there's so many jobs. There's so many jobs and not enough people that want to work so that they're willing to put their eggs all in on a candidate that seem willing, that have years of experience maybe in a different industry, but they have shown in their resume that they're dependable and they're willing to train anybody that wants to try something new if there's good character behind the resume that they see and this enthusiasm and willingness to work.
How
And
do you look for
yeah.
work? Like, do you look for work in certain application, and how do you find the work?
Okay, so I used many different applications, but this particular job I used Indeed. There's
Indeed.
LinkedIn, which is great. And for current college students, Handshake is really great as well. If I have any pieces of advice to share with my friends, is that always write a cover letter for every job that you apply to, and you don't have to slave away writing a cover letter for every different job that you apply to. You just could have like one letter that's written that you can just kind of edit and kind of like an ad lib, right? If you're applying for a job in this position but in this industry, just put a different name in, put a different, talent that you have that would be associated with this role, and just edit certain things. Always talk about your strengths and always say, even though I don't have professional experience in XYZ, here are the XYZ reasons why I think I would excel and be a big part of a big asset to your company. That's being honest, saying, yeah, you're right. I don't have professional experience in this, but also, like, do you have any options right now? You don't have to put that
Yeah,
in the email, but
yeah,
just kind of like be honest and be like, yeah, you're right. I don't have any experience professionally, but here's all this other stuff that I've done in my past that show that I am people person, like action oriented. I am a quick learner, da 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 da. And because of all these experiences, I think I would become a huge asset to your company.
mhm.
And just keep sending them out, keep editing it, always at the cover letters. And don't short sell yourself, because I was making a certain amount with the city and I told myself I want a career change and I am going to be entry level because I don't have experience, but I want to make more money that I'm making now as an entry level person. and I'm not going to settle for less than that, you know? So
Mhm.
so it took some time. It took me like casually applying for like 2-3 months, but I finally found a job that I convinced and that I, also was like, hey, I could do this for you guys. And I applied and told them how much I'm making at this place and wanted this much, and they were like, oh, I'll give you this much. And I'm making $9,000 more than my last job
Mhm.
as an entry level person, because
Mhm.
I said, listen, you don't want to miss out on this.
That's
Like, this is
wonderful.
how you sell yourself,
Mhm.
and also believing in yourself that, like, yeah, I might not have experience, but unless this is rocket scientist or emergency surgery, which it isn't, the job that I'm applying for, unless
Dr. Kim.
exactly, unless it's like those things, like, you'd be lucky to have me,
Mhm.
and I will do good work for you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
that's my
great.
piece of advice to my
That's a
friends out there trying to navigate through this wild, wild west of job market. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is really great. And I think COVID is it's people are facing everyday hardships, some lost jobs, some quit job, right? Some choose to retire early. So many people are into different hardships. So yeah, and just like I echo your don't short sell yourselves,
Mhm.
and if you don't talk about how great you are, and who is going to, you have to show your strength and tell the world, what you could do. Yeah. So
Exactly. Like, us Asians are so modest, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like, we're like taught to not like show off and stuff,
yeah,
but this is a different world we live in, honeys, and
yeah,
we like everything that
uh,
we are is represented on a piece of paper called a resume, or on
yeah,
like on some shit called LinkedIn.
yeah.
And it's only the person that is most savvy that's
Yeah,
going to get what they want and to get
yeah,
what they're worth.
yeah. Speaking of showing off, I'm showing off today. Today's Sunday. I'm talking to Jacky Kim. I've been doing this interview called Live Conversation since March of last year, 2020. So we've been doing more than like 146 episodes, and and Thursday we do usually Wednesday and Sunday, sometimes, but pretty much all Wednesdays and
Mhm.
4 p.m. Yeah, by the way, if you have not liked our video, please click on liking this video and please subscribe the Juhl Media YouTube channel. And yeah, here is Jacky's Twitter is scrolling around. So yeah, thank you guys so much for if you have any questions. Oh yeah, someone was asking says, did someone mention strip club?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Let me see. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but sometimes you just gotta do what you do to survive, and that was just what I needed to do. And I was so convinced that I needed to work in this field that made very little money, so I had
Mhm.
to like offset that with
Yeah.
a second job as a bartender in a strip
Yeah.
club. But no shades to strippers. I love you guys. I just don't have the moves.
No
So
pole
yeah,
dance for you.
yeah, no shades. Like, I love my sex workers. You guys
Yeah,
do what you do.
yeah, yeah.
All the
Oh,
power to the workers.
by the way, and speaking of dancing or strip club, one of the young gun in my film is called Philip Chung. He's
Mm,
he's from he was born in the United States, I believe, but from Taiwan parents.
mhm,
Has an amazing resume. In the film, I interviewed him about 2 minutes long, and
mhm.
he talked about what he has done. And he went to New Zealand to study dance. He dances
No.
pole dancing. He's a pole dancer.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding? Oh my
yeah.
god.
Check
Is
him
this
out.
your
Check him
face?
out. Yeah, he just started his new Instagram. Yeah, Philip Chung.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah, I
yeah,
can't wait to see
I
it.
saw a picture of it. Yeah, I saw. Also, I asked him to send me a picture of him dancing. The guy is like a very amazing, another young guy, very amazing young guy I met in New Hampshire. he canvassed for NGN in New Hampshire in February 2020. No, January 2020.
Yeah.
He knocked 1,000 doors in 26 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, before that, he was like he was an engineer, lived in he worked in Attica. And what else is he built like tiny houses, and he
Oh my
danced.
God.
He's a pole
Pole
dancer.
dancer. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
what
should
I'm
check him out.
saying. That's what I love about Yang Gang. We're
Yeah,
so diverse in our interests and
I
our
know.
like motivation to learn new
Yeah.
techniques.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Actually, I did a whole I'll maybe I'll find the recently I did a couple of more clips of from my film,
Mm,
and I'm gonna just share this. Yeah, just so it is interesting that people are so versatile, and
exactly.
yeah. So hold on one sec. I'm tr- I'm just showing people the wait. Actually, let me put here for now. So tell me more about what you seems like you really enjoy life. You go so many places. Tell me, what do you do for fun? Like I see you always traveling.
I just recently had to cancel my trip to Tanzania in January thanks to Omicron.
Tanzania! Oh my god!
Yeah, I was gonna go on a safari and lay out on a beach in Zanzibar. Thanks to another Yang Gang that actually recommended me, like Jess in Level Up in California, because
Oh
she just
yeah.
went to Tanzania in August or something and was like, just be careful when you travel, but all these kind of like commotions about how traveling in places like Africa is so dangerous and whatnot. She was like, yeah, no, everybody's safe. Everybody in the tourism industry has to be vaccinated. And if you're just careful, then it's good. So I bought my tickets, but this was obviously before Omicron. So
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
kind of like hoping and praying that things would kind of settle down by January, but I don't think that's the case. So I have to call Delta at some point this break to cancel my ticket.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, I have a dog that I moved to 4 states with. She's 10 years old. I love spending time with my dog.
Yeah.
I've been getting into board games because my partner is a huge video game and board game nerd. We actually
Oh,
went to PAX in Philadelphia. This is like a huge video game convention that happens yearly in PAX East and PAX West, but they
I see.
recently started PAX convention in Philadelphia for board games.
Okay.
And this was, I believe, their third convention. I just came back from there in Philadelphia and had a blast. I bought a bunch of board games and played board games all night in the hotel lobby, getting drunk with other board game nerds.
Like in specific, like what kind of board game? Like
Oh, there's
are
so
they?
many. Wait, I
Yeah.
can show you the two that I bought. One
Okay.
second. Let me just pull it up. Like it's right there. Hold on.
Okay.
Um,
Well, Jackie is getting her board game to show us what. Oh, look at this.
okay. So this is a
Oh,
game called
yeah.
Now Boarding. So
Yeah.
basically, you want to make sure that all of your passengers aren't pissed, and you get them everywhere without getting complaints. Um, the the maker of this game is called Fowers Game,
Uh-huh.
Fowers. They're
Yeah.
based out of Utah. I was really drawn to this because of the art. The art's so beautiful. It's
Uh-huh.
very like retro and has that Incredibles look from Disney.
Uh-huh.
Um, this is another one that I haven't played yet. It's called Burgle Bros by the
Oh.
same creator, and this looks like a hotel. And basically, they're kind of like Ocean's 11 of people
Oh, okay.
all working together. So this is a
Yeah.
cooperative game, so
Yeah.
that you could pull off a heist. Um,
Oh,
so these are some board games I purchased, and
yeah.
there's also like a ton of other board games that is like really popular within the board game circle. I'm very new to it, but
Yeah.
I also love video games. I like Final Fantasy. The Final Fantasy VII remake was what helped me get through COVID in my hole in Alaska in March. Actually, the creators of Final Fantasy was going to release the game in June, but because of Square Enix, but they decided to release it early, and they released it in April so that they could help people get through COVID a bit easier. I did that in 2 weeks.
No, I think it's such
like
a wonderful thing that people, people play video game. I don't, but it's such a wonderful thing that people are doing board game, because that is something I think for a long time people forget about how important human connection and human playing together, right?
Exactly. And when you play cooperative board games, it's like human cooperation. Like, how well do we work together for the common goal, right?
Yeah.
I wish I can send some board games to the members of the Congress so they can figure out how to work together.
Yeah.
They don't deserve more money from me.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So you have a very versatile. I just actually, how can we play just the 1 minute of my Yangon Diary? 1 minute of the trailer. The trailer. Okay. Okay. I have two versions. One is 1 minute. One is 2 minutes. So let's just do a short one. Let's see. Okay. 1 minute. Okay. Here we go. Oh, never mind. We need it. Volume. Sorry.
And told you why he's different and got to his main stuff and told you why he's different and why that's good and why it goes to the question of electability. Andrew, yes.
I am that candidate to build a much broader coalition to beat Donald Trump.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
UBI is freedom.
Show me what democracy looks like.
That's Israel. He's keep walking to another house to knock on doors.
Woman is like, get off my fucking property. You have no right being on my fucking property. You Chinese people, go back to fucking China.
This is not the end.
If I had $1,000.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
oh my God. Can you believe that was only last year? Wild.
Huh?
That was only last year. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing, huh? So Andrew Yang finally made a quote for us for the film. He said, "A beautiful film that makes you believe in people."
I saw that. I told you it was coming. I was like, give him some time.
Oh yeah, I told you about it, right? I asked you to help me to get his quote.
I'm so happy for you finally getting it.
Yeah, finally. Thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, Yunja just asked the question, does Manhattan have county committee seats open? And there's a ton of vacant seats open, yes, but the petitioning for Manhattan and Staten Island was last year, and it happens every 2 years. So Manhattan and Staten Island will be looking for county committee members to fill the seats next year. And I'm hoping that next year, I mean, I don't hope, but if we're still in this COVID disaster, then it will continue to be easy to get the signatures, like the 6 to 8 signatures that I told about that Cuomo put into place. So we're definitely going to be in the loop. So yes, to answer your question, we're not looking for people to fill seats currently in Staten Island and Manhattan. Right now, it's just Brooklyn, Queens, and Bronx. But yeah, there's a ton of vacant seats in Manhattan that we definitely need to fill next year.
So, Shukfin, our friend, asking, what do you think? He would love to see Andrew Yang running for New York governor. Any chance?
I actually wish that Andrew could have run for governor instead of mayor so that he could have had more time to build his base around New York State, because the race would have been in 2022. And there's been successful successful pilots in upstate New York that already know Andrew's name. Honestly, you guys, I don't want Andrew to rush through an election again, because he did that in 2020 and it was insane and it was so powerful and it showed the power of Yang Gang. But he also ran for mayor in that same rushed fashion. Like, he said he I think announced his candidacy in January when January 14th, when there were people that were running for like 2 years before that, you know? And the sad thing is, like, I think he announced it on the 14th, and February 14th, I believe, was the last day for you to switch your party if you were a Republican party into Democratic Party so you could vote for Andrew. So all these people that we were meeting on the campaign road in New York City were like, I want to vote for Andrew. How can I do it? And then I'll find out that they're Republicans and I'll be like, I'm sorry, dude, it's March. It's too late for you to change parties. And that's what happened, because he rushed into his candidacy and we could have won even if he had done that. But you know, there's just more targets on your back if you are this magnetic, you know, popular, loved wild card of a candidate like Andrew. And I think if Andrew has any more political ambitions as a political candidate, then I hope he kind of like gives himself more ample time to run.
Yeah, that's true.
Because the governor seats for next year, and that's in 6 months. That's just rushed. Yeah, that's just doing the same thing again. And I'm not sure, like, I wouldn't want that for his family and Evelyn either.
So some people are asking also, do you think he is now thinking about 2024? Or is it just like too soon?
It isn't too soon to think about it. I would like for him to keep it in the back of his mind, because I'm not thrilled with Biden right now. There's just so many things he could have done that he dropped the ball on. There's like every other day, there's like some new bombshell investigation piece that comes up. Like he laughed when it was brought up in October 2020 how we could get free at-home testing kits to the homes of Americans, and was like, no. And then Jen Psaki like laughed at reporters that asked about at-home testing kits. and he lied and said he was gonna at least forgive 15,000, but up to 50,000 in student loans, and that talk's gone. He told people in Georgia when he was trying to get Georgia votes that there would be another payment, but that was like an added like it was like it didn't like add up to 1,400. There's just a lot of things he backpedaled on, and he still has power to make these changes, and I don't know if he's up for it. I'm so disappointed by Kamala Harris. There's a lot of disjointedness that shows from our angle as like an average citizen with the current administration, and I don't think it's a bad idea to keep it in the back of his head, Andrew's head, for 2024 run.
Yeah.
I literally don't care if this is going to like ruin the Democratic Party or help the Republican Party. I've seen the madness with Trump, and I'm currently in the madness with Biden. So I'm okay if I can see something new.
Yeah. So, have you ever thought about eventually you want to run for public servant position?
I don't. I appreciate my personal life too much. Like I love my friends and my family and my partner and my dog, and I just saw how people shredded Andrew apart for not being from New York. Oh my God. Can you imagine what they would do to me if I ran for anything in New York? Like, you carpetbagger, go back to Korea, go back to Alaska. I can't think about going through that, but I do really want people that want to make change in their own homes that are like, you don't have to be a native New Yorker, but that just feels a calling into public service because Exhibit 1, like, I don't know if you guys remember Hugh Ma, like he was like the TurboVax guy that he's like I think he was a coder for Airbnb, and when the vaccine rollout was such a shit show in the beginning and people couldn't navigate through the website because it was just freezing all the time, he went and made his own vaccine scheduling website for New Yorkers because the government website was such bullshit. And now he's running for, I think, state assemblyman in his district of Queens. And I think that's amazing because now we're like combining like the genius of somebody who believes in the importance of STEM because he's like a programmer, but he's also like not a lifelong politician. So he remembers and he lives and knows and experiences what it is like to be a New Yorker that doesn't have a voice, right? Mm-hmm. And I think, that's another thing that I love that Andrew says is that we need to get rid of these career politicians. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a cap on running for Congress and senators in the same way that there is for presidents, because they just kind of like lose track of what they're living for and what they're working for. And then forget that we're the constituents and we're the ones who are paying them. It's our tax dollars that pay them. And then they start going off working for all these like lobbyists and pharmaceutical companies and real estate companies, and they forget who the boss is, and it's us. So I do really encourage everyday regular, citizens to run for office, but know what it comes with. But in the meantime, I'm okay in the background doing other things and advocating for issues that matter to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. Oh no.
The short answer is no. I do not.
I understand. One last question. Sharkfin was asking, do Ching or Jack think that race plays a factor even quietly in Democratic circus, given the ridiculous amount of anti-Asian sentiment as a result of COVID? Do you have any comment?
So Sharkfin, I don't know where you're from, but in New York City recently in the city council race, there's been like a wave of LGBTQ, BIPOC, and femme representing council people, including many Asian people that just won their seats. One of our longest sitting congressperson is Grace Meng, and she's Asian. I think being Asian is just one criteria to really be the voice that we need right now to make change. And I think there's people doing good work that are in the Asian community, but there's not nearly enough. For instance, like it's never addressed how New York Asians are some of the poorest Asians living in the direst of poverty, because we are thrown this model citizen trope at us all the time. And the reason, and a lot of nonprofit organizations that receive state and federal money are organizations that benefit all the other races. And actually, I believe Andrew said this was a statistic I remember from canvassing. Only 2% of the money goes to AAPI organizations and nonprofits. And why is that? Because we have little to no representation in government. So I think, right now there's like this weird Asian wave where it's so cool to put Asian actors and actresses and musicians and throw them on TV and have Asian faces in commercials. And you know what? Like, I'm just like, ride that wave right now. Run for office. There's people that are hiring Asian people in traditionally non-Asian roles. You know what? Get that job. Run for that position. Like, this wave doesn't happen all the time. It's like what's trendy, right? Like BLM was trendy, this and that was trendy. Well, right now, being compassionate towards Asian is trendy. Finally, it came very late, but it is trendy right now, and I think you guys should really like take the balls when it's here, and because we don't know when this wave is gonna end, and they're listening to us right now. So yeah, I don't know if that
Shark-
answers your question, Shark Fin.
He's from northern New Jersey. Yeah. So thank you so much. And now let's do before we do the rapid fire. Anything else you wanted to touch? Did we touch everything? Did we? Do you have
I
anything
so
to
much
shout
fun
out?
talking to you guys. Thank you so much for having me, Ching. Everyone, I don't know if she talks about herself enough, but her films are always winning awards and stuff all across the country and in Canada. And she's also a big time supporter of New Leaf Dems. And shout outs to my New Leaf Dem crew. It's been hard and it's been a long year because we really just we've finished the campaign in June and decided we're going to start this in August. So I wasn't Yang in 2020 because I was in Alaska, but some of these people that have been Yang from 2020 have not rested and they're still working towards the cause. So shout out to you guys. I appreciate you. And thank you to my neighbor Vinny that's watching, I think, and whoever that I know in my life that is watching that I know from my other lives.
Yeah, thank you all for being with us. Shark Fin and Rinje and who else? Tech for your hands. Oh, tech for your needs. Tech for your hands. Anyway, so let's do a rapid fire. Okay. All right. So it's a quick question, quick answer. All right. What's your favorite color?
Orange.
What's your favorite dish?
I like soup. I like any kind of soup. Asian soup, not like Asian soup. I love goulash. I love matzo ball soup. I just like.
What's your favorite junk food?
My favorite junk food is probably fried chicken. Yep. I would love some actually.
Chicken
kind of good.
I can smell it. I can smell it. Yeah. All right. Any books? Any book you read recently you would recommend to us?
Yeah, I have a favorite author. He's one of my favorite authors that I even actually interviewed him when I used to be a bookshop manager / librarian in my past life. His name is Gary Steingart. Steingart is spelled SCHTEYNGART, I believe. He just released a novel called My Country Friends, and it's the first pandemic novel I've read. Basically, he has a bunch of his friends from the city and he invites all of them to his upstate like homestead so that they can quarantine safely together, and drama ensues. And I love him because he's a Russian Jew and he always has like these Koreans and other minority characters that are featured very prominently in his books. And and it makes it more normal for me. Like every book I read, there's always like a white protagonist, and that's cool. But I also know there's a lot of other stories in America, and that it's not just a nonfiction book. I love that he's writing fiction with, Jewish characters, Asian characters, Indian characters. It's hilarious. He actually, I don't know if he still does, but he was a professor of creative arts, creative writing for Columbia too. So that's what I'm reading right now.
That's funny. Shark Fin said, matzo ball soup. She's won my heart. That's funny. So, if you had a chance of having pick 3 person having dinner with, who would you pick?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive, right?
Okay.
Dead or alive, yeah.
I love Mark Twain. He's like one of my most favorite writers. And yeah, I know he's like a white guy from the South, but he was making such solid commentary like on human nature like way back then. He's one of my favorite authors. I would have Mark Twain. I love Bernie Sanders. I don't think he'd be that fun because I know he's always like shy and modest, and he's a Virgo.
You never know.
My hero. He's definitely my hero, so I would have him. And okay, I want like a female character for my note. Okay, I would like to have no, I'll just make it like all guys. I want to hang out with Simu Liu from Shang-Chi.
Who?
So Simu Liu from Shang-Chi, Mark Twain, and Bernie Sanders.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
so,
me.
yeah, and now you have traveled, or you have lived in different places in Alaska, in Louisiana, in New York City. When you first come to New York, what are the 3 things shock you?
Oh God. Okay. Okay. This is really funny, but I'm so shocked at like how it's fast for New York, but it's still kind of slow. I just thought like we're like the best city in the world, right? And there are certain things that still run in a really analog way. And I'm just like, how? Like, it almost feels like New York City is like like it's like built on paper or something. Yeah, so that's shocking to me a lot.
Like how slow? For example.
Just like things that I don't want to like be too specific because I work for the city. But there's just some stuff I'm like, I mean, like Andrew voiced this a lot, right? He was like, yeah, I had some people come to me and was like, if they all work for the city and they're city agencies, why can't they just talk to each other? Why do they say, oh no, because we're in this agency and they're in this agency, this can't be done? But ultimately it's like it's the city. And there's just like, I remember Andrew was talking about a time where this person, it took him like months and almost a year to like get ownership of a building that he owns because they couldn't find out that the past owner was dead. And there was just so much like paperwork being passed around and people not believing him that the old owner was dead, and then the deed was being passed on to the other. You know what I mean? Just shit like that. You're Asian and I'm Asian. Like, dude, in Korea, if you forget something or lose something on a subway, there's literally a number you can call and say, hey, I was on this line in this car. Can you look for this? And they're like, all right, we'll get back to you. Like, like that would never happen in New York. So like those kind of things, I'm just like, come on, New York, we could be better. You take so much money from us in taxes.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, we're supposed to be the best city on earth. But I still love New York. I guess the second thing isn't as fun. I've gotten a lot more like racist comments like in New York than in these other places I've lived in. That is like hostile. When I've had racist comments or comments based on race made to me in the South or in Alaska, if they weren't like god awful, like racist, which was very few, it would be more like curious. They're like, oh, you're Korean? Does that mean you're Asian too? It's like those kind of very like, like those kind of comments would have been made.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of like racist things happen to. I've been like chased so many times just going home. And I know this isn't like, I hope it's not normal of New York. I hope it's due to the, pandemic, but that was shocking to me. And third is I've never seen so many Asians politically active in my life than I have in New York, and I'm so proud. And I've always felt really lonely in my pursuit of like public service in other places that I lived in, and I've come to New York and just like meeting all my Yang Gang, who aren't all Asians, but just seeing a lot of Asian faces when I started campaigning in the mayoral race was just so like, it was just such a joy to me. And yeah, those are some things that I love about New York. And no, those are things that shocked me about New York.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Oh, we have a lot of New Yorkers join us now. Hi, Peter Manku. Have you met Peter Manku? Have you? I don't think you have met Peter.
Oh, the
Yeah.
names.
Yeah,
familiar.
he is a math professor. And who else? Oh yeah, Theo is here.
Hey, Theo.
Theo, hi, how are you? Yeah. Is this the Theo, the like 14-year-old? Hi, 14-year-old.
Really fun. Next, you know, just to have on your show.
Yeah, I would love to have Theo. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
like being a teenage activist and
Yeah. Theo,
He's
I'll DM you on Twitter. Yeah. So how about 2 more questions? If you won lottery 25 million, what would you do?
I would give some money to the UBI cause. I would give some money to whatever Yang's doing. I would probably, man, that's so much money. I don't even know what to do with myself. I would buy a modest property in New York City that isn't the size of my current apartment. Oh my God, Ching's seen how little my apartment is. But maybe I would also just put all that money towards climate change to save New Orleans, the city I also think of when I think of home, because it's probably gonna sink within my lifetime because of climate change and you know, indifference from the government. And yeah, I would really put that money towards climate change. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I know it sounds so selfless and shit, but I just don't know what to do with that money. I think I could build like
I'll
more
help
levees.
you. We will help you. We will
and have a big ass party with all my friends.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So yeah, speaking of living condition in New York, is this the smallest place you ever had? Or tell us how you find this little, you know, like almost like you live in a car.
No, it's so small. I mean, I do have a stovetop, and I do have a bathroom with a shower.
Yeah.
I did a queen size mattress, but it is a tiny, tiny home.
Yeah. Tiny home. It's like a people's tiny home, right?
Home. Yeah. And I live here not only with myself, but with my 70-pound dog. She's like a big ass dog.
She takes up half of your bed.
Exactly. It's definitely not the smallest room I've had, but this is, you know, also like, yeah, this is probably one of the smallest apartment that I'll live in my life, I hope. I found it on Street Easy actually, and
what? On what?
Yeah, streeteasy.com, and
Street Easy.
I know it's shocking to you, but I got it in a pandemic deal, and before me, the previous tenant paid $600 more than I did.
Whoa.
I know. Whoa. Yeah, because I'm also like Chelsea West Village adjacent, so it's like expensive.
Yeah.
You know, real estate. So what I do sometimes is just like stand in different corners and like lay differently, and I'm like, I need to use this part of the apartment to get my money's worth.
You have an
usage of the square foot that I
have. And you have a ass kicking, you know, yard, you know.
I can't wait for it to get warmer so we can hang out more in my backyard and have like late night
sessions. Right.
People to leave when I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. So anyway, great location. Yeah. So city is crazily expensive. So last question. I wanted to thank all of you guys join us, and even you just come out here right now. So watch the whole thing from beginning, okay? And so last question, very easy. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. Vietnamese coffee. Sorry.
I lately built a love for Turkish coffee.
Oh yeah, that's good. My boyfriend loves Turkish coffee.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah, I do so much. I need more energy than tea.
Yeah. Well, so, Jacky, thank you so much for talking with me. This is so much fun, and you know, I know we could talk forever. And thank you for doing all of these work for, you know, the good cause, whether for Yan or for, your new Leaf Dem and for other organizations, and you're one very smart, knows how to negotiate cookie, and you're such a warm heart, and you've done so much for the for us and for the activism. Yeah, I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to mention, it sounds like a lot of work, but if you find so much joy in this work and then you meet more like-minded people than you, then it becomes fun. So you forget that it's work. So don't be discouraged by how busy I seem or how daunting the work seems, because if you're with good company, then the work turns into fun too. So
yeah, that's very well said. Great. All right. So I'll hope to see you soon.
We'll let you know the next happy hour stuff we have.
Yeah. So until then, be safe, be happy, and happy New Year. Probably I'll see you in the New Year.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ching.
Yeah,
Happy
thank
New
you.
Year. Happy holidays. See you
Thank
all
you.
again.
So we're gonna end this episode, okay? So people, and be safe and be kind to each other, and I'll see all of you soon. I hope. Bye now.